So my name is Helene van der Ploeg. Helene does fine. And I'm the Chief Exec at Grassmarket Community Project. I've been here almost 2 years, actually. But it has to be said, I was a board member for 5 years prior to that. And I know about I knew about GCP because I was also working for 9 years at Space and Brumhouse Hub. So GCP, Grassmarket Community Project, commonly known as GCP, we're based in the heart of the old town of Edinburgh in Grassmarket, and we're a community of more than 600 people and really all working to support positive change in each other's lives. To put it in context, more than 85,000 people in Edinburgh living in poverty. Now, in order to alleviate that, and as our part to play in it, many of our members, our beneficiaries, we call them members, have significant challenges, whether it be with mental or physical disabilities, social isolation, trauma, abuse. And what we do is through a programme of more than 25 activities a week, we work with them to help them find their potential, help them flourish, help them make friends, and actually come back into society. I think so many of them are so marginalised and actually are feared to come out of their houses. By coming here, it's, we call them members because it's without stigma. But it's also, we're all members of the GCP family. And it means that we can all work together. So I think GCP is essentially a charity supporting this community of people. And we've got a small staff team, but more than 150 volunteers who really support us to do our work. They're vital to what we do. Plus also we have about 25 corporate companies who get involved with this. As a charity, as I said, we run more than 25 activities a week. Now, these go from social skills and things where it's creative or well-being. So whether it's sewing through Make and Mend, or art, whether it's painting or drawing, poetry, reading and writing. But there's also there's more applied learning skills, digital, and that's not just through to employability, although we offer that with online training. But it's also, simple things like, for some people, they don't know how to, heaven forbid, use social media. We do help them to do that in a responsible manner, obviously. But it's also simple things like using Word or Outlook. And I think we take a lot for granted for what we can achieve. Once you talk to our members and realise, actually, don't ever assume just the little things can make such a difference to them. I mean, out with the building, we also have our wild walks, our wild swimming, and we also work in partnership with, for example, Mercat Tours, Dynamic Earth, the museums, to do trips out to different places. And all of that is kind of about helping our members to come back into society, into interacting with other people, actually making friends, talking to each other, so on and so forth. Now, actually, alongside of those more kind of life skills, we do have opportunities for employability skills. So we have a programme for pre-apprentices, 6 months stints that are paid, as well as work experience and volunteering experience. And that's within our social enterprises. Now, the social enterprises are crucial to what we do because it's through the income that they generate that we can offer the services, our charitable purpose, and help our members. So the social enterprises, we've got 2 fabulous cafes, Coffee Saints. There's one here at Grassmarket Centre, but the original one is down at Little King Street at the back of St James's Quarter. Actually, that came about because we originally had the site because we were operating the canteen, for the builders of St James's Quarter. So we actually like to say that we help build the St James's Quarter, feeding thousands of hungry, angry builders. So that's Coffee Saints, the two cafes. We've also got events and hospitality, and both sites actually for Coffee Saints at Little King Street and here at the centre. We have the facility to be able to offer space for events, conferences, meetings, so on and so forth. And actually we also, aside from hiring out the rooms, which is great, we also have our own ticketed events. So this Valentine's Day we've got Elvis, a tribute to Elvis. Who doesn't want to celebrate Valentine's with Elvis? Fantastic Kaylee coming up in the spring. We had a brilliant one at the end of last year, and then we had one for St Andrew's Day. And the blinders, the hall works so well for that. And yeah, there's a lot of different events that we're working towards. Now, our first social enterprise was the woodwork shop, which you would never know is actually based here in Grassmarket, upstairs. You see from the frontage, this very small frontage, and then you come upstairs at Grassmarket Centre and there's glorious workshop. And it's evolved because the Church of Scotland, they in their wisdom were, which is entirely correct, were wanting to go for flexible seating, so stripping out the pews, and we were the lucky recipients. So we took on these donated pews, and from that making not only small items as our renowned spurtles for your porridge making, if that's what you like, and quaifs and the wee drinking cups, and chopping boards, etc., but also commissioned furniture. And we've got a super craftsman in John, our woodwork manager, who will take your ideas and just create the most beautiful furniture. And it is actually affordable, which is the great thing about it. So I think importantly, the woodwork shop and the cafes are really great for our pre-apprenticeships. It's that supported working environment. The young people feel safe working there and actually really supported and encouraged and enabled to develop skills that they can then take on elsewhere. And the final social enterprise is our tartan shop. Now that's based up on Candlemaker Row. It's a tiny wee space. And we were lucky to get the help of John Lewis, who gave us a placement, who helped us set up the shop. And in that space, not only have we got the selling space, but also the two of the sewing machines, where the tartan workshop is entirely volunteer-led. There's no paid members of staff. And they're incredible. They have made such a success of it. Last year, turning more than £20,000 profit, which is pretty astonishing because there's still costs associated. It was, bringing it back to our members, we had our own tartan, Greyfriars Tartan, commissioned, and it was on the design that was created by one of our long-standing members. So they create anything from, like the stuffed Greyfriars Bobby dogs to scarves to purses, through to coats for your dogs, and they can also do commissioned pieces of clothing, and it has been a huge success. So our social enterprises have a dual purpose of both generating that vital income, but a really fantastic space for enabling our members to progress through to learning skills and getting into a work habit and a work ethic. And of course, to people outside, they love our social enterprises because they're built on great food, great hospitality, great drinks, great service, and a great space. What more is there to ask for? GCP sprung out of what had once been a soup kitchen. And the original part of the building was the Kirk House for Greyfriars Kirk, and that was the soup kitchen. And that was run by all the volunteers. And our founder, Richard Fraser, who is the minister at Greyfriars Kirk, he's always quite inspired for different ideas. And he was very inspired about taking the church into the community. Now, we're not actually a faith-led organisation, but it's shared values of community, compassion, caring, support. And so he'd set up, they were serving up the soup, and then he decided actually to take this further. Now, I think it was really constituted in 2010 as a charity. And the first social enterprise was the woodwork. And as I say, it was because of the donated wood. And it said, well, we've got access to all this free wood. Why don't we do something about it? And in some ways it's nuts. You know, having a woodwork shop in the middle of the old town in Edinburgh, it's like that doesn't quite compute. But actually, I mean, it's a fantastic space. And having set that up, it then opened up so many more opportunities. And I think it was the catalyst for, well, what more can we do? And I think at the time it was set up to give more opportunity to our members. It's a really therapeutic space. You know, that whole thing of when you're doing, you're doing things with your hands. So actually by doing that, it's the whole thing about the walk and talk, or you're sharing a car, because you're side by side, you're freer to talk. So therefore, our members, when they're in the woodwork shop, there's a freedom and it has to be said, it's always been built. GCP is built very much on it being a safe space. It's non-judgmental, it's supporting, it's safe. And I think one of the most amazing things about here that I've seen since coming in is that peer support, that actually as the members grow in confidence, as they kind of find themselves, I know that sounds a bit much, but as truly as they find themselves, they want to share that and help others. So we have a monthly members meeting, community meetings. It's members, staff, volunteer, board come along. And invariably, we get the members to input onto what that would look like. But we also get them to do presentations or to get involved with it. And honestly, it's heartbreaking. Well, it's heartwarming, in fact, when you hear them speaking where they're cheering each other on for how they've overcome a struggle or a challenge. So I think that original social enterprise was allowing us to extend the work without really thoughts about making money. But then, of course, over the years, and certainly in the last few years, it's such a challenging fundraising landscape. That need to generate your own income becomes even more important. And I think, I suppose a woodwork shop as a first social enterprise, that was built on quality and craftsmanship. And that's not been lost with any of the other social enterprises. Everything is built on that because, you know, there's always a thought of like, oh, well, we're a charity. We can't charge too much. Of course you can. You know, if you can match the market and charge what it's worth, and for the time and skills that have gone into making anything, whether it be from wood or tartan, or whether it's service on your event, or whether it's the food and drink in the cafes, actually pitch it against the market. And that's how we've developed social enterprises. And it's been really important, as I say, not just because of the money it generates, but actually our connections with other organisations, other people, generating ideas and ways of working. It's been really at the heart of our charitable purpose, and yet social enterprise is key to us being able to continue. Edinburgh Social Enterprise Network, I mean, I've known of the network for years and actually have been an active part of it, and frequently joining events and activities over the years. And it's become, interestingly, when I took on this role, because my predecessor, Johnny, had been on the board, I kind of thought that I was meant to apply and be on the board. And actually, I'm really pleased to have, because I think the network, ESEN, Edinburgh Social Enterprise Network, is really valuable in terms of forging partnerships, collaborations. I think not only within social enterprises, but as a message to everybody where, let's work together. And a lot of the events, there's that, sharing of ideas, methodologies, just bouncing off kind of problems and things like that. And actually, invariably, I'll come away with either I've met new people, or I've got new ideas, or somebody's helped me sort out something where I just can't find the solution, etc. And I think ESEN plays a really vital part in it for helping to bring everyone together. And in the last year or so, there's been growth in terms of actually the services that are being offered to support the membership of ESEN. And I would advise anyone to, and I know this isn't a sales pitch, I would advise anyone to seize those opportunities. I think it's important with anybody working in the sector, whether it's a third sector or social enterprise or voluntary sectors, so easy to get up against the coalface and say, I can't make time. But you know what? Make the time. By actually coming away from your work, standing back, talking to other people, you get a chance to reflect, you get a new perspective, and actually that is all being facilitated by a partnership, a membership organisation like ESEN. So I'd really advise anyone, just if it's not ESEN, just make sure you're taking your time out. But actually, you know what? There's an awful lot of great members that you can connect with ESEN. Future growth for GCP is actually predicated on ensuring we've got the foundations right to start with. So, I've already mentioned about the challenging fundraising landscape. And in terms of social enterprises, people have got less money in their pockets. There's, inflation, the cost of living is still impacting. Brexit actually is still impacting. So we really certainly found in the last year or two, people have got less money in their pockets. So whilst that's happening, we can't be so blithe to say, yeah, we've got that, let's move on and find the next thing. Obviously, if an opportunity presented itself, we would love to roll out the Coffee Saints brand elsewhere, because we know it's a model that works, we know it's a model that people want. But our priority for this year has to be making sure we've got those solid foundations, not only for our social enterprises, but also for GCP as a whole, for our social purpose as well. There's a whole feeling that we need to reduce the reliance on funding, but also making sure that we're still meeting the needs of our community. So taking time to reflect on our work, always reviewing what we're doing, making sure it's meeting the needs of our members, and they will evolve naturally. So whilst there's always lots of opportunities, everybody has loads of ideas, there's loads of things that they want to do, it is actually saying, yeah, that's great, but let's hold that thought and let's just make sure we're in the right place at the moment. That being said, there's opportunities coming at us for this year, which is great. We are again the home for the Edinburgh Festival of Fringe Society for their Health and Wellbeing Hub and Media Centre, which is brilliant. And this is the last year before they go into their new home. But that means we end up just becoming even more kind of bustling and thriving during August. Fantastic atmosphere. There's Tartan Day, I think Scottish Tartan Day, off the back of New York Tartan Week, which we were at last year. That's in early summer. I think it's in May. And then we've got the internal thing, well, not internal, but the things where we celebrate our community. So we have our summer showcase, which is just a brilliant event where we're showcasing everything that the members do. And in fact, as part of that, we've got our first ever GCP band. The band are hitting the road. And I think they're going to be getting gigs in town, so watch this space, because that would be great. And they've written a lot of their own songs. And again, it's all about partnerships. because they've been able to do that because they were supported by the students from Edinburgh University, which has been brilliant. And that's over the last couple of years, to the point where they've now got the confidence to take their own songs out on a live gig. I think it's brilliant. So there's a lot to look forward to, and that's just with us. Aside from that, there's still all the work that we do with so many other organisations that it makes it very special. Actually, it means that we can deliver so much more, whilst helping other organisations to work together as well. So I think 2025 is going to be a blinder of a year. Edinburgh, love it. It's because for the last 11 years before I'd started working here rather than board. I was working on the outskirts of town, and I also live outside of town. So the absolute delight for me now is working back in town. And unfortunately, my old motorbike died a few years back. So coming in to work here in Grassmarket, I thought I've got to get another bike. So I got another bike. It's a wee bit smaller than the old one. But it's just brilliant, so I can come directly into town, nip into the shops. I love the festival, I really do. Not only the full festival, but there's a jazz festival. I love this city, and it's small enough that you can really enjoy it all. Having come from London, it takes you an hour to get anywhere. Whereas living here, you can probably cover end to end of the city in one go in an hour. So, yeah, Edinburgh, I moved up here in 2002. This is definitely my home now, without a doubt. So GCP are building a boat. Now this is a clinker boat. It's a traditional rowing boat, and I think it was born out of. It was the brainchild of Richard Fraser and my predecessor Johnny Kinross, and they thought it would be. And actually, it was Richard was saying it would be wonderful to have a boat that we could row up to Iona. That's quite a distance, but anyway, no matter, that didn't matter in the way of planning. So we actually had initial funding to buy the kit to make the boat, and essentially, I think it's, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's a 22-foot boat, and you have a cox and 4 people rowing, and we really started cracking on with it last year. It's being built down in our warehouse in Granton, and it should be finished. It's in final stages at the moment, so it's currently in the process of having the undercoat and full paint and varnish. So we're about to go public in terms of the public choice for the name of the boat. Trying to be very inclusive. Everybody can have a vote on a short list of names. And then we're hoping to have a naming ceremony that we'll do here. Now that is all dependent on whether we can get the boat in through the door. I'm most looking forward to having video footage of the boat being trailed along Grassmarket, on a trailer on the back of a van, and then trying to handball it into the hall. So I sincerely hope that will happen. I think it'll be very entertaining. And then the official launch will be on 26th of April at the New Haven Coastal Rowing Club. It's actually in celebration of the Edinburgh 900, but their Festival of the Sea. So they're also doing a formal launch of another boat by another community group, alongside the official launch of our boat when it finally gets put to sea, if it hasn't been ruined, trying to get it in here for the naming ceremony. And it actually sounds like a fabulous day. They've got loads of things going on. So yeah, watch this space for more information on that. But it will be lovely to finally get it launched, because it will have been a year and a half in the making. But you know what, the boat has been predominantly built by our assistant woodwork manager Campbell, who's had experience doing this before, but also with our members. So there was a core team of members who were involved in building the boat entirely by hand. Thankfully, we had some fantastic support from corporate volunteers, from HSBC, Edinburgh Airport, Nucleus. That's just a few of them. There are others who are involved as well. So it will be the culmination of an awful lot of work to launch the boat. Now, why would we need a boat when we're in the middle of Edinburgh? Why indeed? It's unlikely that any of our members will be equipped to row quite yet up to Iona. But it's been fabulous, because New Haven Rowing Club, Coastal Rowing Club, are working with us such that they will look after the boat. They'll have it for their use, but they'll actually do training sessions on a monthly basis for our members. And it's essentially helping our members to experience something that otherwise they wouldn't have access to, And actually, I think it's not just our members who are excited about it. There's our volunteers and our staff team. So, I mean, it's a bit of a nuts project, but it will be lovely to see it finally set sail, as it were. We won't be putting a sail on it, but be set on the water. Grassmarket Community Project is the good place to be.